Hey everyone, welcome to the 80th edition of the TLR show. TLR show is a show that's organized by TLR Now, who are a niche coaching institute, mentoring institute based out of Pune in India, and they have branch offices in Oman, Sri Lanka, Nepal, and the US, and they're expanding. And I'll be host for today. I'm Kingshuk Saha. I am a penultimate year law student from Symbiosis Law School, Hyderabad, and we are pleased to welcome amongst us Colonel Inderjeet Singh, who is not only a cybersecurity specialist but also a noted TEDx speaker. Welcome, Colonel, and if you would like to introduce us to the audience.
Thank you very much, Kinchuk, and thank you, Tera, now for hosting me here. It's a really pleasure to be part of this talk show, and I've been looking forward for very interesting discussions today. And the way the things are, and just to give you a heads up about me, I'm Colonel Inderjeet, and I spent almost 25 years in Indian Army, alumnus of IIT Kharagpur. And thereafter, I'm into the corporate ladder. I wanted to do something, which was of my passion, to be a bread provider rather than be a breadwinner. And that's the passion which has been driving me throughout, right? And it's been a very wonderful journey altogether.
All right, Colonel. So you were in the army and then you went into the corporate world. So how did you find your love for data security? Like, what drove you?
Yeah, great. So, I've seen the complete journey of when the internet started way back in 1990s and to what we are in 2021. And I've, gone through the phases of where we were talking of the network security. Thereafter, we started talking of the internet security. Then in 2010, we started talking of the information security. And now what we are talking of the data security. And this is being a very interesting journey. And the years which were earlier, where what I've seen is it was all internet of information. We were all flooded with internet of information. Information, just Google it. That's what the key word, And today what we are seeing is internet of value, right? Where we're talking about the blockchain and stuff like that. That's the kind of journey which I have, passed through all these years.
Right, sir. So those were a lot of words. So if you could just, summarize, so what is cybersecurity? What does it contain? Like, what are its essentials?
So, just to give a brief about cybersecurity and what cybersecurity is all about. Before that, I just want to give you a kind of overview of what the cybersecurity scenario is today and what challenges which we are facing. And year 2020 has been a big challenge. What we saw, year 2021 is more challenging from the cybersecurity perspective. And the amount of cyber attacks which are there have increased multifold, right? While we are talking, every 39 seconds we are finding a cyber attack happening. Earlier, there were, a virus which will just come into your network and you are safe. You put an antivirus and you're safe. Now you have ransomware, and the ransomware attacks are where the hackers are wanting money, and money to the tune of $1 million, right? Just a week back, we had a colonial, pipeline attack where hackers have taken almost $4.4 million as ransom. That's the kind of challenge what we are facing. Healthcare has been a area which is hit very badly last year. What we saw, healthcare has become a new IT sector altogether, which we never thought. Anybody for that matter will think, what's the healthcare for? It's for the taking care for the the patients. But for the hackers' perspective, it's a real hacking ground. They are trying to target the areas where vaccination has been developed. They are targeting the operation theaters. There are hospitals which are being targeted. So whole lot of things which are happening around that space, and it's become the new IT sector. There's a new policies which are being drafted, especially for the healthcare, which we never thought of. That is the kind of situation what we are in today. Now, coming to what cybersecurity is, when I said these attacks which are happening, so the cybersecurity is all about you're protecting your data, your networks, your systems, right? Your devices, your software, right? And recovering them in case of any cyber attack which happens on that, right? And like I told you, the cyber attacks are increasingly getting sophisticated, which we never thought so. And one more thing which I like to bring in, hackers are running a company like any other company, IT company for that matter. They have a HR department, they have marketing department, they have software developers, they are network engineers, they are finance guys who are there, and they are domain experts in themselves. So hacking has become a new norm for that matter as a new business area. And what are the hackers really interested in? You will say, as a human being, as an individual person, what are they interested in me? Why me? What for? But with you have a very sensitive data, which the hackers are interested. And what are this kind of sensitive data? Your personal identifiable information, that's your number, your email ID, your address, your personal information of very critical importance, which are there. Your health information, right? Your insurance policy information, those are very important for the hackers. Your intellectual property, which they can steal, right? Then there are all government and the industrial systems. What are they interested in, right? So having said so, it's become a real business model, and cybersecurity, for that matter, when I talk of it, has become a very important factor for any company, any individual, any household. We never thought, your grandpa will be, susceptible to any cyber attack, and like what we talk of the Jamtaras like that, and they are also learning at that age as to how to overcome those attacks, right? So this is the kind of situation what we are we are in today.
Right, sir. So that was incredibly insightful, and wow, $44 million, that's a mind-boggling number. But okay, so how can the state develop better policies? Like what can the government of India do in order to policy-wise help in better the data protection regime in India?
Okay, I'll just tell you what we have today at the government level, what we are trying to do, and then I'll come to the data protection thing. From the cybersecurity perspective, there are a lot of initiatives which have been taken by the Indian government. We came up with the IT Act 2000, and there was an amendment in 2010, then 13. And then we had a national cybersecurity policy which came into being. And what we are looking in for a cybersecurity strategy, we are just it's on the in the final stages in 2021. Once that comes in place, we are going to have a real holistic view of how we're going to be safeguarding the complete country, right? Now, under that umbrella of the National Cybersecurity Policy, we saw the National Cybersecurity Coordination Center coming up. We have the CERTINs, which are there. We have the NCIPC, that's for the critical information infrastructure. And for the first time in 2000, after 2013, we identified 6 critical sectors where we thought that it's vulnerable to the cyber attacks. And what are the critical sectors? Of national importance, like your power grid, like your telecom networks, your banking networks, your government offices, your defense installations, right? While the cyber space is all getting blurry, the the countries are not going to attack on the borders. They're also going to attack simultaneously on the critical information infrastructure, right? And if you find it that cyber attack happens on, say, power grid in Mumbai, and it's the complete, Mumbai in dark for 2 odd days, just imagine what's the situation which is going to be. So we have the CERT power coming up. We have the CERT transmission coming up. In times to come, there are so many hack attacks on the financial institutions like banks. So there are going to be, CERT financial, which is going to come up, right? In addition, you're aware that there are so many cyber crimes which are happening day in and day out, and most of the people are, affected by it. Now, there is a site called cybercrime.gov.in where the people can go there, register their complaints, and definitely there's a tangible action which is going to be taken there. And who are the people who are taking care of it? It's I4C, right? So that's the organization which is working on 24/7 to find the cyber criminals. Now, that's at the national level. At the state level, there are lots of COEs which have come up. Okay. And those COEs have the mandate to educate the people, create awareness. Okay. And in addition, we've been seeing that Digital India is one of the initiatives of Government of India, which has taken, real, upfront in every activity what we do. So METI came up with something called a cyber structured Bharat, where they went in for a first time public-private partnership to create workshops so that people they are made aware, right, against the cyber threats. Now that is one part what you're doing as regards the government is concerned. In addition, you asked about the data protection bill. Data protection bill is very important for us while we are struggling with so many things happening, and complete papers are flooded with WhatsApp, Facebook, Twitter, those kind of news which are there, and really concerning each person who's using it. So we are waiting for the data protection bill to come in, and once that comes in, it's so important because the privacy of the data, the ownership of the data, location of the data, right, is important for the individual, important for the country, because in case your critical information goes out, or the country presently, that's what is happening. It's a real point of concern, and that's what we are trying to overcome by getting the data protection bill. So it's in the draft form, and hopefully by this year we should be seeing it the light of the day.
Right, sir. So that's incredible. Like, we hope that the data protection bill is soon passed in the parliament. But you talked a lot about how individual data, it can be leaked, and there are security concerns, and especially given the fact that ever since the coronavirus pandemic has started, uh, the surge in UPI and net banking and all that stuff has increased manifold. So, what can we as individuals do in order to better protect ourselves against cybersecurity attacks or data breaches?
Right. When we talk of the UPI attacks which are there, and especially you're aware of so many cases which are happening pertaining to the Jamtara, right, where
Right.
uh, all the attacks were happening using the UPI. You will get a SMS, and thereafter, people trying to uh, take the information of you. They are trying to get money out of you by fleecing you. Right now, there is another group which has come up, surprisingly. This is at the tri-junction of Rajasthan, you know, Haryana, and MP and UP. It's a four-way. It's called Mewat. So that's a place where there's a new breed of hackers which have come up, and these are the kind of the QR code hackers, right? And they are exploiting the feature in the UPI app where you can create a QR code and receive money, right? And that is what they're trying to attack. So what practically happens is that you get a QR code on your WhatsApp, he will give you a call, and they are misusing the request feature on the UPI by sending these kind of messages. And what they tell you, enter your UPI pin to receive the money. They'll say, okay, uh, you want to sell something on Ola, or you want to sell something on the online selling apps which are there. Based on that, you'll get the money. But what practically happens is, it is the other way around. So the key is never enter the UPI pin to receive money, because you will fall in, pray for that, right? Second, what they try to do is, you go into the social media. Most of the time, the people go into the social media, try and search for the support centers which are there, right? And that's a very common that something doesn't work, and thereafter they go into the support center and try and put it that my this thing is not working, some problem which is there. What these scamsters do, I'll not tell them these are hackers, they're the scamsters. What they do is they search for those kind of sites, right? And then they try to impersonate as a banker or a e-commerce site or any other site, in a response to the post what you have posted there, right? And they then ask for the confidential information, right, which no banker is supposed to ask for, right? The key is, don't put your details or search for any of help centers on the social media like Facebook or Twitter. Instead, you go onto the official website and check it out. And another thing what they try to do is, they'll give you a call because they get the social engineering. And I will touch upon the social engineering part because that's very important in the complete of the scam which are happening, right? They try to find out the number of the person. Like I told you, there people go onto the sites and put in their details. Then they ask the people to download the AnyDesk, screen share apps, TeamViewer apps, and practically what they're trying to do that is, they try to steal the bank credentials. Okay, and that is how you start losing the money, because once he has got the access, he's practically looking in to the complete thing. But you have to understand, when we talk of the QR codes, this is not just a case in isolation, or these are kind of scams which are not the case in isolation. The scams start what we are posting on the social media. That is where we get into the complete game. And what we do is, every time when we go onto the social media, we post something like even your holiday photographs, your birthdays, your kids' photographs, everything, right? But you need to understand, whatever you are putting on the social media, that's indelible. They create a digital footprint and it cannot be removed forever. It can be only hidden from you, just not seeing it. But whatever apps you're using, even for that matter, the Snapchat, which became very famous for, you just see the photograph once and it's not available. And that was a USP. But that's a myth. The data always remains. Even if you delete your Facebook account, it remains there. The excess doesn't go. And this is what the scamsters really looking for. And that is what called the social engineering attack. Social engineering means the hackers or the scamsters go into the social media, start tracking a person. They will know more about him, his name, his relations, his office, his every detail which is there, and then he starts launching their cyber attack or the scam attacks. And so it's not a case in isolation. So they do their homework before they do these kind of attacks on you.
Right, sir. So this got me thinking. Uh, there are a lot of cases where, like criminally speaking, or with other intention, malicious intentions, people sometimes leak photographs of others, like photographs or other data of others. So if you're a victim, if I may use the word, if you're a victim of such a scenario, what do you do? Like, your photos leaked on the internet, and now you're saying that it's going to be there forever. So what are the steps that you can take in such a scenario?
See, like I was just telling you about the digital footprints. And what are your digital footprints comprise of? Your photographs, your videos, your texting, your social media accounts, your comments which you post on the sites. At an average, you use almost 100 plus password and user ID combinations. You have emails, you have tag photographs, you have applications, so many of them. Your purchases, your transaction. So these are your digital footprints. Now, what practically happens is that hackers or the scamsters, right? They target this. So what you need to do is, you need to put only that data which is need to know basis, right? I'll just give you a case in point. Take a case of Facebook. we'll touch upon WhatsApp, but let's take case of Facebook. What it does, you know, I for sure I can tell you most of us would have never read their privacy policy and user license, policy which are there. And what it does is that while you have the Facebook in your mobiles, it has smartly and quietly, started taking your data while you're not even using your Facebook. Even that is a time when it collects the data about you as to what are the applications which are using, what are the bank applications which you're using, what is your location, where are you clicking, and the amount of data which you are sharing when you're even not using a Facebook is mind-boggling. If you go and see the privacy setting, and I think you can disable it, right, so that they don't track. Why they're tracking you? The reason is very simple. They take this data and they sell your data. To whom? They're ad agencies. They are the ones who are buyers. It's like a stock market. Every day there are slots on the site, right? Or even the slots on the Facebook page where the slots are sold, premium slots, non-premium slots. Based on that, the ads are sold. And what are the ads which are going to come to you? The ads which you were clicking all the while. That's very interesting, right? That is why, they're using the machine learning, they're using the deep learning to push to you the apps or the kind of thing which you like to see. That is why you see, once you go and watch something, that's the kind of thing which pops back on you. So one thing which you need to understand, you're no more a customer to any of the Facebook, any of the social media site, right? You're not a user anymore. You're a product. And it's just like a barcode where value of your data is being valued. Okay, that's what you're being traded. So, that having said so, never post any of photographs, never accept, any unknown request for friendship from the people you don't know, because most of the friend request, if you don't know, the photographs can be generated using deep fakes. Okay, and that deep fakes photograph is such that you can't even recognize whether it's a deep fake or it's an original photograph, right? So you have to be kind of very much aware, not sharing, not disclosing most of your details, and share only need to know requirement on the social media. And like I told you, in case of any mishap happening, any crime happening in India, there's a site which I brought it out. It's a cybercrime.gov.in. You can register your complaints there immediately, and also you can go on to your nearest cyber police to tell them that this what happened, and definitely they take a lot of action these days.
Right, so that was something that it was thought provoking to say the least. But since you talked about trading, there's another interesting concept that I want to touch upon. You see, nowadays cryptocurrency is in the news, right? With Elon Musk's tweets sending the stock prices of Dogecoin up and down. It's in a free flow, like it's almost controlled by whatever Mr. Musk tweets. So there are a lot of potential crypto investors, right? So how do you deal with the data protection, cybersecurity issues when it comes to cryptocurrency?
Okay, we look in the crypto in a bit of different model as to how the crypto is in India, how the scenario is in India. Firstly, understand what the ecosystem of the crypto in India is and the world over is, right? Most of the countries, they have given a very positive note to it. They're accepting it. Like Japan, they have got a crypto exchange altogether. Australia, they got a crypto exchange. They got a crypto acceptance. Switzerland, for that matter, they are accepting all the cryptos for the government transactions. Like if you want to pay for your birth certificate, right, you can pay it in crypto. So there's a huge traction when it comes to the cryptocurrency. And just to give you a just of a prelude to what cryptocurrency is, because to bring everybody in on the same platform, cryptocurrency started 2009, right? When there was a person called Satoshi Nakamoto. Nobody knows his whereabout now. He started with one paper, and that was a digital currency, and later called the cryptocurrency. And it was based on the digital ledgers or the distributed ledgers. And 2008 October, he started this, and in 2009 we saw the first digital currency or the cryptocurrency showing up. Thereafter, cryptocurrency has been in discussions, and there is no physical form of the cryptocurrency. It's only a hash code or a 34-bit code which is there. That's it. Nothing beyond it. That's the crypto. And the prices of the crypto all depends on the demand and supply. That is why it's a very volatile kind of item, entity. And we see the kind of cryptocurrency moving up and down last couple of years has been very interesting when this volatility was happening. Now coming to the Indian scenario, right? There are almost 7 million investors, there are traders, there are people who are investing into the crypto. There are almost 340 startups which are working in crypto. There is almost trading of $1.5 billion happening in India, right? So it's a growing part of it. And while we talk of crypto, we talk of the blockchain. So blockchain and the cryptocurrency goes hand in hand. And the traded part is the cryptocurrency, the distributed ledgers are the blockchain, right? Now, cryptocurrency in India, we have a lot of kind of movement which happened because lots of discussions which are happening. Somebody talking of banning the cryptocurrency. 2018, RBI had banned the cryptocurrency transactions in India. The order was reversed in 2020. We opened up by the Supreme Court is saying that it's okay. Then there are almost 10 exchanges which are operating in India right now. And like I told you, there are 7 million, the crypto ecosystem people who are investing into it and doing a daily trading, right? Now, 2021, we are seeing another kind of discussions which are happening is that there's a regulation which is going to come up for the digital currency. That's a digital currency bill 2021. It was to be in the parliament initially in February 21, but it didn't happen. We are waiting for things to come up in that way. And what is important for us when we talk of the cryptocurrency part of it? Cryptocurrency is being used for two purposes. One is a good purpose where people can transact like a digital money. You really don't have to go through banks. If you want to transfer money from here to say US or UK, it can happen within seconds without any intermediary, right? So that's a big advantage what you have. The bad part of the cryptocurrency is it's being used for terror financing. It's also being used for darknet markets. It's being used for child pornography. It's being used for all nefarious activities which are there. Why it's being used? Because it gives you anonymity when you're using it. So though it's not difficult to trace the crypto trade, it's all doable, but at the same time, it's difficult. Now, that is a point of concern for the government as to how do you really track those kind of people. Other thing is the Hawala racket. People parking their black money into the crypto, right? So that's what really happens. Okay. Now, government of India wants to really track it and come up with a bill. And One suggestion which always comes to my mind and which I've been talking about it, that there's no requirement of outrightly banning crypto, but the best way forward is have the compliances. Have the compliances in the income tax where you tax all the payers, all the cryptocurrency guys for whatever they are earning as a capital gain. Put a news on the crypto exchanges where they have the know your customer as to who their customer is. They should know their transactions, KYT, right? Have a compliance in the banks where you know they know what transactions, which person is using the money through the crypto exchange and where it is going. So practically, in a sense, if I look at it, we need to have a very holistic view of the crypto, come up with the compliances at each level, right? And you know, take the way forward for the cryptocurrency. Coming on to the cyber security aspect of the crypto, it's being used by most of the hackers in the ransomware. So any ransomware attack which happens, all the hackers are asking the ransom in the cryptocurrency. Okay. And like I brought it out, any hack attack happens or any attack which happens, they ask for in a bitcoins, because they know that it's very difficult to track. And from there they create a trail of uh, cryptocurrency or the bitcoin from one wallet to another exchange, and they finally convert it into the final fiat currency. So that is very important. The cryptocurrency being used for hacking as part of the hacking itself, it's a real point of concern.
Right, sir. So that was incredibly insightful, and it was eye-opening in a way, because cryptocurrency still is something that a lot of people might not understand. There's still a lot of cloud surrounding it. But there's another very important topic, and I think very pertinent right now, considering the crisis that we're in. You talked about healthcare, right? So, what are the data protection, cybersecurity issues that could be faced in the healthcare industry, especially given that India faces the humongous challenge of vaccinating the world's largest population. Like it's probably one of the largest vaccination drives in the world. So, what are the challenges that can crop up with COVID vaccination, and what kind of data protection, cybersecurity issues could crop
Right,
up in
right.
these sectors?
Yeah. So like I had earlier also brought in, healthcare has become the new IT sector. Like your ECG machine, your insulin machine, your gadgets, your BP machine, your all the devices which are there today are connected on the internet. And what is driving it? There is something called the IoT, Internet of Things. They're all sensors, and that's what you have, the sensors, every place to give you all the information what's happening in the real time, and they're all connected to the internet. And the IoT devices are susceptible to the cyber attacks, right? So any hospital in India today is equally vulnerable to the cyber attack like any of your critical information infrastructure or any of your organization, right? And what do the hackers want? Money, because that is what they'll do. And just to give you one example, March 16, 2020, Czech Republic, there was a hospital, and similarly, there were lots of things which were happening later part of the year also. But one example, where Czech Republic, there was an operation which was happening. There was a ransomware attack. They had to stop the ransomware. They had to stop all the operations which were being conducted in the hospital, right? And people lost their life. One odd person who was in the OT, they had to stop the operation. So that's the kind of situation what we are finding now. When we have a situation like this, especially, and we are going to be vaccinating people in India, right? And what we saw, the moment government opened 18 to 44 window for co-vaccine, or the vaccination, we saw lots of sites coming up day in and day out, and they started sharing information about opening of slots on a social media, Telegram, sites, and it really created a chaos. And that's the time when some of the sites also came up with some pop-ups which were there, like, you have won the prize and you'll get uh, the something which is more important. So that's the situation we landed up into. And what were they doing? They were actually extracting the API from the government site, right? And they were able to extract the slot information, and that's what they were passing it on from the Covin site. And what it is practically, damaging is uh, the privacy of the data of the people. That's a challenge what we are facing today, because while we are filling in the details on the site, your Aadhaar card details are being there, right? There are lots of personal details which you are filling. Your phone number is there. This can be hacked, right, and can be sold. And there was a news also that you know there are data which has been sold in the darknet containing the personal detail of people, containing Aadhaar card, address, and phone numbers, right, of lots of people in the darknet. Now, to overcome this, government of India, only yesterday or so, they have come up with a framework where they're going to be authorizing some of the authorized service providers who can take the APIs, connect them, right, and do the registration, right, and also they can check on the availability of slots. They can download the certificates via their apps. So we require a complete holistic look to this kind of situation when they come up, right? And we have to really, take the corrective measure. One area which we can use immediately in case of, the coronavirus and vaccination, that we get in with a blockchain. And blockchain is where you can, keep a track of what is happening with each individual, right? Case in point, I just want to bring in, if most of us would have been traveling while the COVID was on, and what was happening was that people were trying to forge the test reports, the dates of it, and traveling again and again. So a person who gets positive and then get negative, there are no correlation between the SMSs what you get, and then if it's negative again. But a blockchain can really solve this purpose. There's a technology solution for this kind of things, where you can keep a track of people as to when are they getting positive, when are they getting vaccinated, when are they traveling, if they have the forged documents or not. So these are the kind of things which are very important to imbibe. Use it immediately.
Right, Colonel. So that was a pretty interesting take, and I hope that we collectively can come up and
Right.
be able to tackle the challenges that we face. So that being said, Colonel, and this is something that I wanted to ask you personally. What do you see is the future of cybersecurity? Like how do you envisage the world together, or India can move forward with cybersecurity?
Right. So, at the world level, we are struggling with so many cyber attacks which are happening today. And while we were talking, I told you 39 seconds, there's one cyber attack. Uh, how we overcome it, we have to take a very holistic look. I'll first talk of the whole look from the international and the national perspective. Then I'll try and work it out for the individual perspective. So recently, US has come up with a framework for the ransomware attacks, anti-ransomware attack, as to what they need to do, how they need to react. There's a task force which has been created, right? The NSA of US is really very aggressive on the ransomware, right? Similar kind of architecture, similar kind of thought process. We need to have it in India as well. Uh, Ransomware is live. It is happening. It is, damaging a lot of infrastructure, it's damaging the life of people, and we have to take care of that, right? That is one part of it. Second is, at an individual level, we have to be very much aware of how the hackers attack today, right? And that is important. And you'll be surprised that the difference between you attacked and not attacked is just one click, right? If you click on an email with a malware link or a phishing link, your malware will get detonated in your machine. It will start working. It will encrypt data. You'll start losing your credentials, right? Your complete network will get down. And most of the cyber attacks which are happening, right, all across the world, that is the start point. So, cyber hygiene is the most important factor which we need to understand. And while we are in COVID, and everybody is using all the laptops, maybe like they're the laptops which are the office, or they're the ones which are BYOD, bring your own devices, bring your own computers, right? And not all of them are cyber trained because we never trained them in the cyber. So the need of the hour is today is we need to train people, have a cyber hygiene. And what is a cyber hygiene? Changing your password, not going on to the sites which are not authorized, not browsing through unnecessary details, not punching in your details on different sites. Don't download any extensions onto your laptop or your mobile phone. Don't download the apps which may have a malware, right? So this all is very important when I say about the cyber hygiene. And now this cyber hygiene is necessitated, from the top man in the company to the bottom last person in the company. It's not just the IT team or the workforce which is there. It's from the top to bottom, right? So that is the situation we are in today. And the cyber training, right? We don't want to have everybody, getting into as cyber experts, but the basic cyber security norms, basic cyber security hygiene, corrective measures, also the risk assessments which are there, incident response in the company which are there. If you're able to look into all those, we will be cyber safe. That's the key to it. When I think about how we can be safe.
Right, Colonel. So that was. I hope we can all say that one day we'll hope for a cyber safe future. Now, if there are any questions from the audience, then we would love to open the floor to the audience, if that's okay with you, Colonel.
Yeah, sure enough.
Yeah. So, do we have any questions from the audience? I don't see it. I don't see such. So if we find any questions, then we'll surely take it along. So Vandal, another thing that I wanted to touch upon was what are your views on the the latest fiasco, if I may say, regarding Twitter and these other social media apps being banned, the new IT rules. So, like, there's a lot of confusion regarding what's happening, what's not, whether social media sites will be banned, what is happening. Like, if you could provide us some clarity into what I believe is the most pressing need of the hour.
Right. So, two, three things which are like we'll try to club in. And one, we'll start with the WhatsApp. And it started in the month of February, and they wanted to change the privacy policy, right? And they wanted to enforce that privacy policy on all the users. Okay. And they wanted primarily to share data, okay, with the Facebook, and they wanted to process that particular data. And what they were targeting was that the business users which are there, you know, they will be able to take the data, their metadata, and extract from that, right? And they wanted the WhatsApp to be integrated with the Facebook products, okay. And this was a kind of a policy which was not agreed by all, because by taking the data, and what is the kind of data which they wanting to take? They wanted to take the data about your app version, your browser information, your languages, your time zones, your IP address, your device information, identifiers, right? And whole lot of data which is there, your signal strength. And once they collect this data, they share with it with the Facebook. And if they share with Facebook, that would entail, right, Facebook showing those kind of advertisements to you to monetize that data, right? So they can share, only a limited data right now, and it's a situation where it's being known for its end-to-end encryption, right? Once they change the policy, they'll be able to take a lot of your metadata, right? And how you interact with others, how you interact with businesses. That's the kind of information what they were able to take. They postponed it to May, right? And now also you would have seen that the policy is so stringent. Really, they want to push it on to everyone and saying that if you're not accepting, right, the privacy policies, you after some time you're you'll not be able to make the voice calls. After some time you'll not be able to chat one-on-one with people. So it's a kind of a evil mindset which they're getting onto, and it's not very good for a country or for the people or the users to get subservient to these kind of policies for that matter. And why us? That's the biggest question which we all get it, because in Europe, in EU, there's a policy called the GDPR, right? That's a data protection policy which is there. And based on that policy, they said either you accept it or we're going to throw the Facebook out of the EU, right? So the policies what they're trying to enforce on Indians is not the same which is there with the EU, because they have a very stringent GDPR, and that is what they're trying to take the advantage of right now. Okay, and after they've been pushed, so they have said we are going to wait for some more time. So it's only a cat and a mouse race, with WhatsApp, what we are seeing. So having said so, lots of people shifted to Telegram, lots of people shifted to Signal, for communicating, for the secrecy and the privacy, and that is what they're trying to do. Now, the recent development which has happened, that's yesterday and a couple of days, where Twitter was being told to follow the rules which they wanted, the Indian government, where they said you should have to have a compliance officer, you have to have a grievance officer, as to whom do we approach in case of any eventuality. And second major aspect which is important for all of us is tracing the messages and tracing the origination of the message as to where that message comes from, right? So these are some of the points which are the point of contention, and we can only fight with them if we have a very strong data protection bill, right? And this is what they're exploiting presently. If I ask anyone, where is your data of WhatsApp, no one will be able to answer. Where's your data of your Facebook? Nobody will be able to answer. Once the Facebook and Twitter, WhatsApp, Google, all of them are told to keep a copy of the data in India, that's the time we will be empowered to keep a check on them. And that is what the data privacy bill is all about, right? That whatever is your sensitive data, whatever is your critical data, it cannot move out of the country, right? It's only some part of the data which they can, take it out, but that also with a copy in India, right? So these are the kind of, challenges what we are facing today, and they are trying to exploit on our weak data protection policies, and that is why we have to have the bill ASAP in the country, to fight it out. Otherwise, These all biggies are trying to play around with the bill and the privacy of the people, because at the end of the day, it's whose loss? It's my loss, the individual's loss, right? And anytime any data which is lost, right, it's my data gone. Who's going to pay for it? No one. So once the data protection bill comes in, so there are very stringent directions on that. That if any company is losing data, so they have to pay almost up to 5 year of penalty, 2% of their business. If it's a bigger loss, then they have to pay up to 15 cr, 4% of the business. So that is very, very important. And this is what the GDPR is. Why Facebook doesn't touch upon European Union? Because they had to pay almost $20 million in fine for data leakage a couple of years back. So that's why they don't want to touch them. And in India, there are almost 400 million users today, right? So, and they know they're the biggest kitty bank for them, user bank for them. But since we don't have the right policies, they are taking advantage of it.
Right, Colonel. So that was interesting. It's an interesting idea to wrap your head around big tech versus state. So it was an incredibly insightful, thought-provoking session, and it made me. I personally say that it made me like. For one, I'm going to think twice before uploading my next photo on Instagram. But that being said, if there are any final concluding thoughts, or there is any advice that you would like to leave to us, our generation, especially who are seemingly addicted to social media, so what would those advices be?
One, don't share anything which is not important. Okay, that's very important. Second, watch your digital trail. Like I told, anything which you're putting on the social media remains there forever. Okay, so don't put what is not necessary. And your generation, which is very much part of the social media because you're grown in that, uh, you follow the norms of being a cyber citizen. That's important because uh, as a countryman, we know what are the rules of the country, what are the rules, what are the constitution, what are the fundamental rights, you know. But how many of us have been taught the cyber rules? No, none for that matter. So there's something called a cyber citizenship where you need to know what are your rights, what are your, how you need to protect that. So we have to be very careful about it. And for the people who are uh, securing the networks for them, my only key is the key mantra which I want to leave is that in case of any ransomware attack, how do you protect? So follow the 3 to 1 rule for the backup and recovery. And what does that 3 to 1 rule says, right? Have at least 3 copies of your data, whatever you're doing, right? Two, keep those 2 backups at different locations. One may be in a file storage or a network storage. And one, store one of the 3 backups offline, right? So in case of any ransomware attack, in case of any critical data which you're working on, you may be writing books, you may be using it for something or others, you may be doing a digital painting, right? So much of research work what you do, and just see, or if you're losing complete thing in one jiffy, somebody doing a ransomware attack, this 3 to 1 rule can really safeguard you against any cyber attack, right? And you will come clean out of it because you have the data which is there with you, and there's no problem with it.
Right, Colonel. That was incredibly insightful. Are there any other topics, any other concerns that you would like to share?
So, I've generally brought about everything which I personally feel are important for people. But another one, leaving the last points which we may talk of is the apps. And what is happening is the mobile phones, what we have today is a computer in hand, right? And we download so many apps, not realizing what that app really does, and we give a lot of permissions to those apps. What we need to do is, anytime we download an app, firstly, it should be from the known source. Case in point, there's an app called a Clubhouse, and suddenly everybody went into the Google Play Store to find the Clubhouse. Surprisingly, you will find that there's no Clubhouse app being created by the Clubhouse company itself. They're all fake apps. And once you download those fake apps, what do the fake apps do? They try to gather your personal data. And what is your personal data? Your contacts, your location, your SMSs, your calls, right? So that is what they try to take out all the data from. And again, they are all selling it. So whenever you are downloading an app, don't just give permission for for any reason. If you feel that any application is trying to take more permission than desired, don't download it. Don't go ahead. And most of the malwares, which are being injected to the apps are through the game side apps which are there. Last year, a lot of people they downloaded COVID tracking app suddenly. So that was a fake app which came up. And what were they doing? It was taking all your data, even your IMI number, IMSI number, SMSs, contacts, your emails, stealing everything. That is the challenge what we face. And there are malwares which are similar to what you get in computers, are also there for mobile today. There are malwares which are very specific, right, to the banks. So what they do is they get injected in your mobile phones through different, media or apps, or you go through a different site, which is a phishing site. It gets downloaded, and thereafter it tries to steal your bank credentials because you will be punching in your user ID password. So it can note your keystrokes, okay, and take those data, steal those data, and you may end up losing your bank credentials. So mobile phones are equally important to safeguard. One thing what you can do is have an antivirus or anti-malware in the mobile phones. It can give you a first level of safety where it keeps on checking as to if in case any app has got a malware, or a malicious code in that. So those kind of things are very important today to be safe. Yes, please.
Right. So, Colonel, it was amazing talking to you. You've been a wonderful guest, and I hope this session was incredibly informative. And I hope everyone who's attended this session has taken something something interesting and something educational, so that we all become better cyber citizens. And there's another level of hygiene now to add to our to already the levels of hygiene that have been talked about right now. So cyber hygiene is something that we should try to maintain. So Colonel, it was incredible talking to you. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule in order to be able to do this. And it was incredible, and I hope the audience enjoyed it as much as I did. And with this, we come to the end of our session. And so, Colonel, it was great having
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Kingshuk. Thanks, TLR Now and the complete team for having me again. And be cyber safe. That's very important. And, hope to see you again. Thank you very much.